With the Maryland governor's race in full swing, one question that always comes up is what kind of leader will that person be if they win? DC News Now's Leonard N. Fleming continues his series tonight on how they would govern if elected. Leonard.
Governing after a brutal, combative election season is a challenge to the most seasoned politicians. Simply put, it isn't easy. These two candidates are convinced they can govern and win over their critics.
To govern, elected leaders have to work across the political aisle. And the two candidates for Maryland governor say they can, with confidence. Democrat Wes Moore says he has what it takes.
How do you reach across the aisle and convince people who didn't vote for you, won't vote for you, that you have their best interests at heart?
I've been in public service for my whole life. I just haven't been a politician. But I have been working in areas of policy for my entire adult life and working across aisles. Being the governor essentially means you are the state's chief executive. And I've been a chief executive for much of my entire life. And so when we're going all around the state and going out to Democrats, independents, and Republicans and making our case, it's basically saying that, you know, when I was a soldier in Afghanistan, I never once asked my soldiers, what's your political party?
Republican Dan Cox also says he has the experience too.
What is your strategy to win them over, and how do you govern for all the people?
By showing up, by being there, by making it happen. As someone who has worked hard for all of our communities in Maryland, I'm going to show up in Baltimore City and make sure the HVAC systems in the schools are fixed on day one. We cannot continue to let this happen.
Moore claims he will govern for everyone.
And so making sure that you can get the public sector, the private sector, philanthropy, community organizations, and the people all around the table to be able to move our state forward, I will put my qualifications and classifications to do that work against anybody in this field.
And overcome the challenges ahead.
I don't have a history of posturing and strutting. You know, I have a history of getting big things done. I think it's the reason that we have seen such a broad coalition come back and support our campaign. When you look at the fact that we have more endorsements by members of the Maryland General Assembly than any campaign inside of the field in the primary or in the general. When you look at the fact that we have endorsements from everyone from business leaders to labor leaders who are all supporting our campaign.
Cox promises a balanced approach to governing.
Everyone's going to have a seat at the table. They're not going to be forced vaxxed or masked. It's going to be their health care choices. They're not going to be walking around streets that are going to be very unsafe. They're going to have opportunities to have their kids' education back in their hands again.
And everyone, Cox says, will be heard.
Let's make sure that, you know, we put power back in the hands of the people, a transparent government, a government that works for the people, that, you know, when people expect them to answer phones, they're going to answer phones. That's the government that people want. That's the least that we can do as elected officials.
Coming up soon will be the final segment of our series with the candidates discussing controversies in their past. Please go to www.dcnewsnow.com to see other segments with the candidates talking about how they deal with crime and the economy. For DC News Now, I'm Leonard N. Fleming.